Alright, welcome back. This is James again, and I'm here to go over part 20 of What If Deku Was Born with a Hybrid Quirk. That being said, the last part, we went over Izuku's coma happenings and a few things in the real life where Izuku explains it to the people that he's closest to. And where we left off at the last part, Izuku and Katsuki were giving, like, they had just started to show Momo, Kendo, and Araka around, like, this facility that was built at the bequest of Izuku. So, so they're walking around, like, they take them by, like, the gymnasium where there's a bunch of workout equipment, and they take them by a cafeteria area and they're sitting down like they're like, you guys haven't really had, have you guys had dinner yet? And Yuzuka's like, and they're like, what do you mean? And Katsuki's like, well, we're not fully operational yet here, but we do have some stuff. If you guys want, I can go make something up for us. And Izuku is like, oh god, Katsuki, you're trying to show off, aren't you? And Katsuki rebuttals to him like, dude, you know I can cook better than you. You know I'm the best cook in the house. And Izuku's like, yeah, that's true, but you're gonna show off, aren't you? And Katsuki like kind of walks off with a big grin on his face because he's like, I'm gonna get you back for that. Like, they're saying that your cooking's good. I'm gonna make them like realize that I'm a better cook than you and prove it. So he says he asks like, is there anything you guys can't eat or anything, like asking because of allergies and stuff. And they all say nothing really. And then he's like, well, is there anything you guys don't like? And they say their preferences and stuff. So Katsuki's like, well, give me about like you'll have about 30 minutes to an hour for like all the food is done and everything. Anyway, why don't you guys get some drinks like at the convenience store like across the street, because like we don't have much as far as drinks goes besides juice or water. And so they go over across the street and everything, and when they get back, like they're talking and everything, and Uraka like basically goes to like the kitchen, offers to like help, so like she's helping Katsuki cook. And at this point, this is where Izuku kind of turns to Momo and Kendo, and he sheepishly asks, "It's like, so do you guys still want to go out with me?" And Momo and Kendo kind of look at him a bit confused, and they ask him like, "What do you mean about that?" And he's like, "I'm pretty sure, like after hearing everything, like you guys don't want to date me anymore." And like, and with everything that's happened, both Momo and Kendo kind of look at him and is like, "Wow, Katsuki really is. He was really like he really nailed it, hit the nail on the pin with this one." And for my non-American viewers, it basically means he hit the like it's like 100% accurate, basically. And they're like, you really are dense when it comes to like girls, aren't you? And he's just like, I can't. And he's like, well, what do you mean by that? And he's like, do you think this is going to like push us away? And at this, like Izuku like just kind of smiles a little bit, and he's like, oh boy, that's such a relief. I don't know. It's just It's a lot to process, and it took me years to deal with it and process it myself. And then, like, with this added on, I didn't think it, you guys would want to stay with me. And at this point, Izuku and Katsuki, Izuku, Momo, and Kendo are sitting there, and Katsuki comes out with the food, along with Araka carrying a few other things. And at this point, they hear a loud scream coming from like the other side of the room, and this girl, like this young woman, comes running up and grabs both Izuku and Katsuki, like hugging them and then kissing them on the cheek. And she's like, "I haven't seen you guys in like a year. Like, how have you guys been and everything?" And Uraka like says, "What are you doing with my boyfriend?" And then both Momo and Kendo say the same thing, and then they like say, "Katsuki, Izuku, what's going on? Who is she?" Like, kind of like jealously, and both Katsuki and Izuku's like, "It's not what you think. It's not that." And then Melissa, looking at Izuku and then looking at the girls with what they had said, she's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. It's not like that. We've just, oh god, I did it again, didn't I?" And both Izuku and Katsuki says, yes, you did." And then Melissa introduces herself. She's like, "I'm Melissa Shield, and yes, I'm the daughter of David Shield, the founder of Island and everything." And they're like, "How do you know these two?" And she's like, "Well, Uncle Might, and introduced these two to me, and like I basically like helped develop some of their gear and clothing." And this kind of satisfies Momo, Kendo, and Araka, and like all three of them are kind of thinking, it's like, "Ooh, she could probably give us some details about these two that they haven't shared with us yet." And then like Melissa kind of like pulls them, like she goes to say, and like I help them out with, and she stops at this point, and Momo, Kendo, and Araka are like, "What is it?" And she's like, "Well, I can't really talk about it." And then this is when Izuku pipes up. He's like, "Well, they know about that." Like, and it was kind of announced on the news that All Might had like been training us. So yeah, that cat's out of the bag, at least in the public image. But these two really know like about my quirk. Like these three know about like my quirk and the connection with Mr. with Sensei Toshinori. And at this, Melissa's like, "Oh god, I thought I just like said something that I wasn't supposed to again, or did something." And so Melissa is like just going over like saying like a few things like while they're eating, and she's like, you know, Luke-san's like been asking about you guys and everything, like, yeah, and he was asking about the news, and then I heard from Uncle Mike that you were out of the hospital, so I got like on a flight to come here, and then like I went by your guys' house, and like you guys weren't there, and then like your mom said that you guys were at the beach, and then like I saw Izuku walking in here with some people, and like I basically got here as fast as I can, and like and then she turns to like the three girls and says, "I really am sorry. Like there really isn't anything going on between us. It's just us three. Like these two are kind of like little brothers to me, and 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 Uraraka's the first one to say something, and she's like, "Yeah, I can kind of get that. It's kind of like Izuku. It's kind of like Izuku. It's kind of like Izuku and Kitsuri." And at this, Melissa's like, "Oh yeah, about that. Why didn't you knuckleheads like tell me that her quirk came in?" And both Katsuki and Izuku try to like walk away, like, "Oh, sorry about that." And she grabs him and she's like, "Nope, not this time." And she's like, "No, you guys can't use it. You guys can't use training to like get out of a question." And this is kind of like shocking Momo, Kendo, and Araka. Like, what? Because they've only seen like their mom be able to do this to them, and them just not just power them. And they're asking Melissa, is like, "So what is your quirk to be able to do that to those two?" Because they've seen these two do some pretty amazing things. And she's like, "Oh, I'm quirkless. I'm just like really smart. Like I was always in the lab when my dad was growing up because my mom like isn't around anymore, and he basically raised me, and I basically spent almost my entire life in the lab learning about like technologies and stuff. So that's why I kind of like developed them and everything for these two knuckleheads." And she was like, "And that being said, why didn't you send me a message saying that the building was done?" And Ian Kendo's asks like, "Wait, you knew about this?" And she's like, "Yeah, like who do you think helped these two come up with plans? Who do you think designed this place from the floor plans up?" And Izuku's like, "Yeah, I totally forgot to say that." And like they all start laughing, and they go on a tour and everything. Like Melissa offers to like give them a tour, and they're like, "Oh, they've already given us a tour." And she's like, "Did they take you to the quirk rooms?" And this is kind of puzzling to Uraraka, Kendo, and Momo. And they're like, "What quirk rooms?" And then Uraraka like asks like, "Wait, are they like the rooms in that gym?" And Katsuki's like, "Shh." And Momo and Ken are like, "What was that?" And then Katsuki and Izuku's like, "Oh God, and Izuku's like, "Oh shoot, I forgot to say that too. Yeah, there's this gym that has these special rooms that we can use our quirks in, but our rooms are a little bit more advanced than those." And or Akin is like, "What do you mean?" And it's like, "Well, the thing is, like, we actually have we have a lot more rooms than them, and also certain rooms are for like special types of quirks. Like we have a room that can be submerged in water for those that have something that's an aquatic like and the quirk, and then we have like super reinforced rooms for people that have quirks like me that give them like a phenomenal like physical strength. And then we have like insulated rooms for people that have like quirks like Kaminari." And Izuku like adds in, is like, "And that I actually contacted Melissa after hanging out with Dinky for those few days before the sports festival to see if she can incorporate that in the floor plans if it was too late in the construction with the building." She said, "No, like we basically are just getting like the zoning permits and stuff, and we haven't like really busted the ground in concrete. Like the building hadn't been like actually started yet. They were still working on the permits and issues." And then they turn to Melissa and they're like, "Wait, you didn't know this place was like built and you were involved in the permits and everything?" And she's like, yeah, like I kind of dropped the ball in this place after like I found out what happened with Izuku, I kind of went into like overdrive with my classes and finished them early so I can leave because my dad said if you want to go, like you have to finish your classes. So like the past month I've basically been focusing solely on my homeschool and everything because like I kind of left the Idolin Academy like my last year, like this year, to like really focus on um, quirk technology and support items. And both Momo and Kendo are feeling a little like worried about this. And then like Melissa looks at their faces like, "Oh, you don't have to worry about that. Like me and nothing's like nothing like that's ever happened with me and Izuku. Like it's just he like he has like such a weird quirk, and then with and Izuku's like, remember, like they know about that one as well, and she's like, oh yeah, that's right, like that, like, and with Izuku having Uncle Mike's quirk now, it kind of deals with a we like I really was very interested in like how his quirk like evolved after he inherited it and everything. So he's basically like my prime test subject when it comes to like certain gears. And at this point, Katsuki's like, yeah, there's someone at our school that would probably that would probably get along with you really well. And Melissa's like, really? Who? What? There's someone like me that likes tinkering with stuff. And then Izuku was like, oh yeah, that girl. And Kendo's like, what do you mean? And then Momo's like, oh, they're probably talking about that support course girl, remember? And Uraka's like, yeah, the girl that basically made Ida a living billboard. And at this point, Melissa's like, wait, you guys know her? And like they all say, oh yeah, we do. Like, if you wanted to meet her, we could probably like ask in class, like go by the support course, like on our way back to our dorms and everything. And you know what? Matter of fact, why don't we just head back to the dorms, guys? Because we're pretty much done here. Like, unless you guys really want to check out the quirk rooms, we can't really like use them because we don't have the staff yet. And Momo, Kendo, and Uraraka asks, like, what do you mean, staff? And it's like, well, because of certain laws and everything, like, we need pros or police officers, or, like, we need pros here to supervise quirk usage. So, with that being said, they're like, oh, so, like, is it possible that we can look at them at a different time? Is it possible that we can just go look at them and like see what they're like? And Izuku's like, yeah, we can. So they spend like the next 30 minutes to an hour checking out all these different rooms and everything. And then they come to like an unfinished room and they're like, and they ask Izuku and Katsuki, is like, what is this room for? And Izuku and Katsuki kind of like look at each other and they're like, well, that's kind of our personal room. It's unfinished because we don't know how strong we'll be when we graduate. And we've been trying to figure out like, well, Melissa's trying to been figuring out like a polymorphic alloy that can like change its own form. I don't know, like nanites or something, says Izuku, because like, yeah, he's really smart when it comes to quirks and how to like use them in different ways, but he hasn't really like used his superhuman quirk to like learn tech that well. Like, he gets it more than the average person was, but nowhere near the level that Melissa or Mei Hatsume would. And so, like, after the tour, they start heading back and everything, and like they get stopped at the gate. They stop at the gate, get Melissa like a visitor's pass and everything. And Izuku, like, takes her, like, Izuku, Momo, and Kendo, like, basically head to the support course lab with Melissa, while Araka's like, I don't want to be rude, but Kacha, like, you remember? And Katsu's like, oh shoot, I'm sorry. Izuku says, what do you mean? And it's like, oh, you guys remember how we didn't really eat that much? Uraraka's mom wanted me to come over for dinner tonight, and, like, I think we're gonna be late if we stay here. We're gonna be late if we stay here, like, any longer. And so, like, Katsuki and Uraraka kind of, like, he's like, yeah, and, like, besides, I've gotta go. Like, I'm kind of starving now. And Izuku, like, kind of laughs. He's like, dude, get out of here. And tell the future in-laws I said hi. And this kind of, like, Katsuki's like, man, shut up! As he, like, grabs Uraraka and just basically flies off so that they won't be, like, late. And with that being said, so now we have Izuku with Melissa, Momo, and Kendo, and, like, they take her to the support course. They kind of, like, show her, like, the different facilities on the way there. And when they get to the support lab, like, they hear an explosion, and, like, when the door opens up, like, smoke coming out and everything. and like, basically, like, the scene that happened in the anime, if you watched it, or if you're a manga only, like, the panels where Izuku walks in after, like, so he can get the braces and stuff. A similar situation like that happens where, like, he's in front of the door, and as soon as he opens the door, like, an explosion happens, and Hatsume comes falling down on him, and Izuku is just sitting there, like, looking at her, like, what's going on? What are you doing? And May's like, whoa, you're strong. And, like, she's just, like, measuring him and everything. And then Kendo Momo, like, walk up to her and is like, what are you doing? Get off of him. And she's like, she kind of, like, looks up and she sees another person. She's like, wait, are you, is that really Izuku? Like, I'm sorry, but, like, she, like, after realizing, like, that it's Izuku that she fell out and everything in the situation, she looks up and sees Melissa, and she's like, wait, is that Miss Shield? She's, like, one of my idols. Like, is that really Melissa Shield? And Melissa walks up and is like, so I guess no introductions are needed on my part. And, like, May is, like, kind of, like, fangirling out because some of the advancements in quirk technologies and support items that Melissa, like, developed on her own kind of, like, inspired me. And she goes over to, like, one of her accomplishments, like, yeah, like, she created, like, a fully functional, like, random apparatus when she was, like, 7 years old, and it's the basis of a bunch of, like, support items that are used today. And this, like, kind of shocks even Izuku, and he's like, wait, you never mentioned that, Melissa. And Melissa's like, oh yeah, like, I tend to do that a lot, don't I? And both Momo and Kendo are kind of looking at the situation. It's like, you know, if we didn't know better, we'd swear those two were siblings. Kind of thing. Because, like, they both kind of space out, like, a little bit, like, similarly. And they're like, yeah, and Katsuki's, like, is no better than the two of them, right? And says Kendo, and then Momo is like, yeah, that's probably why they're good friends. And so, like, after, like, May, like, finishes fangirling out and everything, she says, yeah, I've actually been working on something, and, like, Melissa, you want to, like, check it out and, like, see if you can see anything, because I can't figure it out. So, like, it's not stable. Like, I just can't keep it stable. And Melissa looks at Izuku like, can I, like, I don't want to be rude. And, like, Izuku, like, just tells us, like, it's okay. Like, we kind of have to have our own thing back at the dorm that we have to go over, because Aizawa Sensei, like, wants to, like, talk to me. He said he wanted to talk to me tonight before, like, we went to bed and everything, and it is getting close to curfew. And, like, I kind of want to, like, relax in the dorms a little bit, like maybe take a shower or something, and, like, Melissa's like, and possibly something else, and Mizuki's like, no, nothing like that, nothing like that. Yeah, and, like, he's blushing a little bit, like, he's, like, throwing his hands up, and this kind of, like, makes Melissa and Kendo blush a little bit. And so, like, they leave Melissa to hang out with May, and, like, they explain to Melissa that if she is going to be staying overnight, she has to go here and fill out some paperwork and everything, and they'll escort her to, like, the guest housing. You know, like, temporary guests and stuff, where, like, they keep, like, guest teachers that they're bringing in for, like, a special class or something like that. So they have they have the facilities for special guests. So, that being said, they get back, like, Izuku gets back to the dorm with Momo and Kendo, and they are met at the door with Kirishima, and he's like, yo, Izuku, like, can we talk? And Izuku looks at Momo and Kendo, and he's like, yeah, sure, and, like, he gives him a hug and everything, and says, I'll say goodnight. I'll come and say goodnight to you guys before, like, I head off to bed. And Izuku's like, I got a few minutes before I'm supposed to speak with Aizawa Sensei anyway. So Kirishima, like asking, like, during the conversation with Kirishima, like, Kirishima's asking him, he's like, so what are you going to be doing? And Izuku's like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, like, you're basically a hero now, like, what are your plans? And then he basically explains the facility in, like, shorthand and everything, and, like, the type of hero agency that he wants to, like, start after UA. Kirishima's like, you were really serious about that. You two were really thinking about, like, what kind of hero agency you actually want to open up when you graduate UA. And Izuku's like, yeah, like, and for some reason, like, there's a bunch of heroes that had, like, construction companies actually pitched in and got the building, like, practically done the first like 8 months ahead of schedule. And Kirishima was like, dude, that's awesome. You think you can take a ride and check it out, like this weekend? And he's like, yeah, sure, but, like, we can't really use, like, the quirk rooms. And Kirishima's like, oh, man. And Izuku was like, yeah, like, it's staffing, but we can always go to the gym, and, like, and I can give you some pointers and everything. And he's like, really? And he's like, yeah. And it's like, Kirishima's also like, yeah, and I've also, like, develop something new that I want to like kind of like get your advice on. So like, in Kirishima like looks down and then looks back up at Izuku, and then Izuku says, "What is it?" And he's like, "You know, man, it's good to see you up and walking away. The past couple of days, it's kind of felt like a dream." And Izuku's like, "Kirishima, are you really okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's just Momo, Kendo, Katsuki weren't the only ones that were worried about you. Both me and Dinky were like a little worried too, because you're a friend, dude. Like, and pretty much everyone in class was like worried about you. And even that Monoma guy from class from 1B like was asking a bunch of questions if you were okay." And he says, like, "Wow, that's surprising. That dude never thought he'd be that kind of person." Kirishima was like, "Yeah, I guess what happened really changed people, you know?" And Izuku was like, "Yeah, like I don't really like the attention though. It feels weird. It feels like I didn't earn it, you know?" And this is when like Kirishima just starts busting out laughing, and he's like, You honestly are like that. Like, it's not a game. It's not like a put off. It's not a put on thing." And Kirishima was asking, he's like, "So, like, what's going on with your personality? Like, you seem happier and everything, and you're smiling more." And Izuku's like, "Yeah, like, some things happened. Like, I had a pretty weird dream when I was in the coma, you know." And then Kirishima, like, because Izuku kind of like puts his hand up to his face and like is yawning, and then Kirishima's like, "Whoa, where's your scars?" And Izuku says, "Oh yeah, apparently my superhuman quirk like developed even further, and I think I'm maybe able to heal slightly faster than what I used to." And then Izuku like sees his watch, and he's like, "Oh shoot, like, man, I've got to go. Like, otherwise, you know how Aizawa Sensei can be." So he runs off to meet up with Aizawa in the meeting rooms at UA and everything. And when he gets in there, like, he sees Aizawa Sensei, and he runs up to him, and he's like, "I'm sorry, Aizawa Sensei. I'm sorry I'm late. And then Aizawa says, "It's okay, young Midoriya. It's just there's some stuff that some of the faculty have to discuss with you." And this is like getting Izuku worried. And with that, I will leave it off for part 21. We'll go over this conversation. And I think you guys will enjoy the next succeeding things, because a lot of the world building has already been done, so I can really focus more on the relationship, the friendships, the romantic relationships going on amongst the class and everything, because those do play a big part in where the story is going to end up at. With that being said, like, comment, and subscribe, and thank you for watching the video, and have a nice day.